Hello, this is Paul with the CoCreative Intimacy Podcast. Our topic today is communication, and I have a guest speaker, Allison. We're going to be doing an Enneagram Typing interview. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Paul.
Tell us something about yourself.
So I'm a 25-year-old woman. I live in Nebraska, and I just recently graduated with a bachelor's degree in behavioral science. I have a fiance and a dog, and I'm planning my wedding right now.
Behavioral science. Cool. What's that all about?
So it was a multidisciplinary degree. So I studied a lot of psychology, sociology, social work, and health stuff kind of intermixed with each other. And so it kind of gives me a broad range of things I could go into.
What is one of the career paths you're thinking about?
At the time of choosing it, I knew those subjects were interesting, but I wasn't fully sure what I was going to do. But my guess was maybe something with children that just came from rougher homes or had behavioral disorders of some kind, maybe like a juvenile detention center or something like that.
Cool. Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So I want you to think back a few years to when you were in high school. What were some of the activities you did besides classes?
I'd really just hung out with friends. I had previously been a competitive cheerleader for like 10 years. But by the time I hit sophomore year, I just wasn't in sports anymore. So my freshman year, I still was a cheerleader. But after that, I just sometimes would go to yoga on the weekends, but generally I would just kind of hang out with friends and do schoolwork. I just fell in love with cheer, and that's kind of where I stayed. I did track for a year as well, but other than that, I didn't try any other sports.
So you mentioned you have a fiance, right?
Yes.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
How long have you been together?
About 5 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Hugely long time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do much dating in high school?
Not so much dating. I would say kind of we would call talking to different people, but I never focused on that. I guess I had more fun just hanging out with friends and just kind of being a kid. I didn't really date seriously at all.
I guess I want to know what was your role like in the high school climate? Like, did you like going to the dances and the proms, or did you shy away from that stuff?
I would get ready and take the pictures and go out to eat, and then I would like go to parties and not go to the actual events.
Okay. Would you say that you were kind of in a good group? Were you a popular person? Were you maybe in the middle of it, or were you kind of more of a wallflower?
I would say I was somewhat popular, but I was someone that had friends of all the different groups. So I didn't really have my own small group, I wouldn't say. I was friends with people from different schools. I had been to multiple schools, so I kind of just was friends with everyone. But I wouldn't say I didn't cling to the greatest group of kids. I definitely struggled with a lot of things in high school. So I was like, not at prom, I was at parties. So that was the kind of kid I was, but I was still friends with everybody.
What kind of grades did you get in high school?
I had good grades.
Was it like A's and B's, B's and C's, or was it all A's or what?
I would say mostly A's and B's. I probably had a few C's in there. I wasn't, perfect, but I generally got pretty good grades, and it was pretty easy for me.
Okay. So when you get dressed in the morning, do you ever struggle with, like, should I wear red blouse, red, blue? Do you ever have anxiety like that?
I don't know if I have anxiety about it, but I definitely care about my outfits. I like fashion, so it's more fun than anxiety provoking, but like, yeah, I do care like what I'm putting together.
Okay. I guess my question was about anxiety in general, and I was picking clothes, but it could be about anything. If somebody asks you where you're going to go eat, where shall we eat? Do you get some anxiety on deciding?
Yeah, I don't like choosing where to eat.
Do you prefer if the other person decides?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say I'll be one of your friends, okay? And
Okay.
I'll say, Allison, let's go out to eat. Where do you want to go?
I don't know. Like what kind of food do you like? I think that would be something I would ask.
How about let's go Italian? Is that good?
Yeah, sure. That's great.
I just realized I don't want to do Italian. I just did that the other day. How about we do Chinese? Would you be okay with that?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
You know what? I don't want to do Chinese. Let's do Thai.
Okay. I've only had Thai a couple times, but I can try it.
Okay. So I'm just having fun with you here. So
Okay.
what if I asked you, Allison, what are some of your activities that you like to do now?
So I'm learning web design, so UI UX design, just like some classes online. I like to design clothes. I sell clothes on Etsy, and I love reading and like researching. I know that sounds weird, but I just love learning stuff. So I spend a lot of time reading and things like that.
Wow, I'm impressed. You've got clothes on Etsy, huh?
Yeah, I don't sell a lot, but I do like to design them.
So there's an artistic side in you.
Yes.
Besides making the clothes, what other things would you say are part of your artistic side?
Um, Growing up, I really liked to draw and paint and things like that. I kind of got away from that because I felt like I had to try too hard. I don't know. It became more anxiety provoking than fun, even though I was good at it. So I feel like now, besides those things, there's not a lot of things I necessarily put my creativity into, but I have, I think, an interesting taste in stuff. And that kind of shows my creative side, I guess.
So you notice on this diagram, there's three sets of three. 2, 3, and 4 are in red. 5, 6, 7 are green, and 8, 9, and 1 are in blue. And notice there's a body part associated with each triad. There's the heart, the head, and the gut. As humans, we have all of these in us, but some of us may have one of these developed more than the others. When you look at the heart and the head and the gut, which one do you resonate with the most?
That's pretty hard because I do see some in all of them that I would go into or say that they're like me. I almost think I'm more blue than red.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, a little of all of them.
Okay. So, Allison, you're coming across to me as a very nice, agreeable, great personality person. Do you ever get into confrontations or fights with people?
I wouldn't say confrontations or fights. I guess I said blue because peacemaker. I'm not someone that kind of just. I know in the example with the food, I sounded like I'm kind of a pushover, but if I don't agree with something or the way someone's acting, I am very I just kind of say how I feel and I try to change things, and that's why I feel like I'm a peacemaker. I'm not like a peacekeeper. So I don't start fights necessarily, but I'm not really afraid to speak my mind. So I guess that's kind of why I leaned on there. So I wouldn't say fights, but I would also not say that I shy away from confrontation by any means.
So I was thinking about type 9 myself. Type 9s are very nice, very easygoing. When they are with two people that have diverging opinions, like let's say you're at a party and two people are in a debate. For them, it's a fun debate. But for you, and maybe this is your fiance as part of this debate. And for you, though, it seems like it might be turning into something more pronounced, maybe even a fight. What would your reaction be to, would you wish that this was over with? Would you walk into the next room, or would you get involved somehow?
I probably would get involved. I would probably say what I think, or sometimes in that type of a situation, I'm the one that kind of can see both sides. And I'm like, you're saying this and you're saying this, and you guys actually agree on this, but I don't think I like debating. I grew up in a very debatey lawyer family, so I don't feel uncomfortable in those situations. But like, if it was turning into something negative, I would just try to calm everyone down by kind of like explaining that I see all the sides, I guess.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe one of your skills is to help people to dialogue with each other's differences.
Yeah.
That's great. That's an amazing skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you're stressed out, do you ever feel like you're concerned about safety or security? Let me give you an example. So let's say if you're really stressed out, you don't want to do anything dangerous. Or maybe if you go into a movie theater, do you find yourself looking at the exit signs just in case there's an emergency?
I don't think so, because I know people like that, and I'm almost oblivious of my surroundings, so no.
Okay. So notice that type 9 is in the middle of the gut triad, but also the anger triad. So each triad has a feeling. There's anger, shame, and anxiety. And these are neutral feelings, neither bad nor good. When we think about anger being bad, we're thinking about what you do with the anger, but we're not looking at the anger itself. So an example of good anger is when injustices are happening in the world, and you may feel angry that something is happening, and that's an appropriate response with anger. So I want to know, do you think you're a type 9?
Yeah, I could see it. There was about 2 or 3 when I was reading through them that I could relate to, so it was hard for me to hone in on one, but I mean, I can see it. I do feel like sometimes I'm like, am I being angry for a bad reason? Is this righteous anger? Like, I do have anger at times, and I feel like it is usually about things that like do matter. So if that's kind of relating to that, then I can see it. But I also have anxiety too, so I don't know.
Tell me about the types that you identify with.
So I thought I would be more of a 7 or a 2 when reading through it. But then, yeah, and then also a bit of a 9. But when I saw agreeable and stuff, I just like wasn't sure if that's like really how I am. So those were the 3 main ones.
So what I heard was some type 2 and type 7 and maybe a little bit of type 9.
Yeah.
Anything else? What about type 3? Type 3 is the achiever. They get stuff done. They like success and accomplishing.
I don't think I relate to, like, I like that, but I don't think that drives me in any way.
Okay.
No.
And type 6 is called the loyalist. They come across with a friendly energy, and they're very loyal. But on the inside, they have this anxiety. They're always thinking something might go wrong, and they're good at kind of understanding how to be safe. So they tend to drive the speed limit. They're not going to start the car until all of the 5 guests in their car have their seatbelt on. Got them on? Yep. Okay, now I'll start the car. They're very careful.
I would say I was not at all like that until recently, but I have PTSD with car stuff. So that specific example, I'm like, I'm so like that, but it's because of accidents and things. So I don't know if in general I'm a very careful person, but with certain things I've learned to be. So that one's hard. But I am loyal. I'm definitely a very loyal person.
Okay. So let's go more into the 9. So it's very common for 9s to identify with many types. The primary strength of the 9 is they are natural empaths. Would you say that you have a strong gift of empathy?
Yes.
So you can talk to a Democrat for 5 minutes that's very vocal, and then you can talk to a Republican for 5 minutes who's very vocal. And although you may not agree, you understand where they're coming from.
Yes.
Can you then sit down and have lunch with both of them?
Yeah. I mean,
and maybe even become best friends with both of them. Maybe you'll do separate activities, but is that possible?
Yes.
So, Allison, what you just said is an amazing skill. Not everybody can do that. But 9s can do that beautifully because of their highly developed sense of empathy. Let's talk about why anger is written there in this triad. So type 8s will overemphasize anger. Think of people like Donald Trump, not a political statement, just noticing that he is comfortable with displaying anger. Vladimir Putin, Saddam Hussein, the ex or former president of Iraq. Type 1s tend to underemphasize anger. So these people have anger, but they keep it under control. They think that they should not show anger, that it's a flaw to show too much anger. So these are people like Mahatma Gandhi. So, and they're driven by this anger to do good things for the world. They're reformers. Michael Pence, he, I think, is seething with anger. Again, not a political statement, but he is very good at keeping it kind of under control. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the first woman on the Supreme Court, another amazing type 1. Very composed. You'll never see her yelling or screaming back when she was alive. But type 9s have a very unique relationship with their anger. They're kind of oblivious to it. At sometimes in a 9's life, they don't even know that they're angry. But then eventually they become aware of their anger, but they kind of disassociate with it. So they could be talking to somebody and smiling, and they can be saying, you know what, I'm really, really angry with you. But if you went just by the words or the facial expression, they look like they're completely happy. Do you have a little bit of that in you?
Maybe sometimes. I think I'm more of a I'm just silent. I don't if I'm really mad, you're going to hear it for sure. But with a lot of small things, I feel like I'm just I'm avoidant almost. I just kind of don't want to be around you or talk to you, and you'll feel it and you'll know it because I'm being avoidant. So, but then in some situations, I definitely will just tell you all about what you're doing wrong and why I'm mad at you. So I don't know if I would, I think I show it on my face pretty well. I don't think I would look happy and be mad because I'm you'll know I'm mad, I think. Anyway.
Okay. Would you say that 99% of the time you're very agreeable, everybody likes you, you're super nice, but once in a while you'll confront somebody and you'll blow up, and if somebody doesn't know you and they're watching, or maybe they know you a little bit, but they don't know you intimately, and they're watching this, they're thinking Allison, oh my God, I didn't think you had that in you to fight back like that. And then when you fight back, it's short-lived. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, I can see that. Most of the time I don't get mad. I'm a pretty easygoing person generally. So
once in a while, though, you have a little blow up where you're willing to confront.
Yeah.
When you do that, are you also perhaps apologetic with the people you were just talking to.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just described very, very classic 9 behavior. So 9s are nice people. They're agreeable. So 9s are also called the sleeping giant. Let me explain that. So 9s kind of work in spurts. It's very common for a 9, let's say, think about back in your middle school or high school days, and then eventually into your college days, where they have a goal. They want to do, they want to take a class or read a book or take that workshop, but then they don't do it. They kind of sit on their butt for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they just do everything, and they're like an Energizer bunny, and they kind of like it when they're in this space and they get stuff done. But then all of a sudden they may kind of like take another nap and go for a few weeks or months, and then they stand up and they wake up and they do it again. Do you work in spurts like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely do that.
So you mentioned 7. Let me talk about 7s. 7s are fun people. They're enthusiastic. They love life. They're adventurers. They need to experience many, many things in life. They want to travel to many, many places. They want to eat all these different cuisines. They want to do things. Are you like that at all?
Yes.
7s oftentimes live in the future. They're thinking about their next vacation. They're planning their next fun activity. Are you like that?
Yeah.
When you were younger, were you very kind of destructible? Like you're playing with this toy and then, oh, there's another toy. I'm going to go play with that toy. Oh, there's another thing. Let's do that. Were you a bit like that at all?
Yeah, I would say a little bit hyper high energy, but I would get bored really easily. So it wasn't like something would take my attention. I'd be like, I'm bored with everything. I'm going crazy as a kid. So, but similar. Yeah.
Tell me about your fiance. What's he like? What does he work in, or what's his career?
He builds fences, so like construction work. He is a pretty like fun person, I would say. He's kind of goofy a lot, and pretty chill most of the time.
Between you and your fiance, who is the more emotional or expressive person?
I think in different ways it's both of us, but and almost in spurts, kind of like we talked about with the 9. Like sometimes I'm way more emotional, and then there's periods of time where I think he's way more emotional than me. So I think that one might be a little hard, but probably generally me. I would say not as much in the terms of emotion, but as like deep. I'm very deep, and he's a lot more surface about things.
Okay. So one of the qualities of a type 7 is they have this exuberance for life. They want to have fun, but they have some underlying anxiety. Notice how type 7 is in the anxiety triad. This means that 5s, 6s, and 7s all have some sort of anxiety. 5s tend to study the world by learning. Albert Einstein is a type 5. They like to understand and gather knowledge. 6s address their anxiety by following the rules. Drive safely, put on your seatbelt, follow the list of instructions, that kind of thing. Because if you do that, you'll be safe. What does the officer say when they pull you over for speeding? They say, ma'am, I just want you to be safe. So that's kind of a 6 statement. 7s address their anxiety by kind of avoiding the difficult things in life, like the emotional pain. They'd rather go do something fun instead. So they kind of like to divert from pain to fun. Do you have any of that in you?
Yeah, I do think I definitely avoid like the valleys in life. Like I try to just, kind of make sure they don't happen, or I don't have to deal with anything negative. So I'm always trying to have fun. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Do you have a studious side to you? Kind of like where you love to study, and it could be books, it could be internet.
Yeah, I love to read and study things. I do that a lot of my day. I'm just researching random stuff. So I do love to learn and study things.
So I'm having a hard time trying to figure out your type. By the way, I can't figure out your type because I can only give you my observations, and then it's always up to you to confirm whether whatever you hear is right. And even if you take a test, the test results don't necessarily mean anything unless they mean something to you, because some of those test results could be wrong.
Okay.
Because the more developed you are as a person, the harder it is for a test, or the harder it is for somebody else to figure out your type, because you have developed outside of your type, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's look at the lines on the diagram. They mean something. If you go with the arrow, like the 7 goes with the arrow to the 1, so that's the direction of stress. When a 7 goes against the arrow, it's the direction of growth. Think of it as you're in a river, and if you swim upstream, you make progress. So for the 7, when they grow, they go towards the 5, and they like to read, they like to study, they like to understand the world around them, and they become subject matter experts on something or many things. And when a 7 is stressed out, they take on the energy of the 1, which is a little critical. They're critical of themselves. They're a little nitpicky. But when a 7 is at their 7 space, they're fun, enthusiastic people. They always want to go do something new. Does that sound like you at all?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not feeling like there's a lot there. Yeah. Let's go back to 9. So 9s, they grow towards the 3. So remember when we were saying that 9s work in spurts?
Yeah.
So the vice of the 9 is sloth, which is basically laziness, but it's not physical. It's more of an energetic laziness. It means that they kind of sit on their butt for a few weeks, and all of a sudden they realize, I need to read that book. I need to take that class. And they get stuff done. They achieve. When they're in this upper side of going in spurts, they're taking on the energy of type 3. And then when 9s get stressed out, they go towards the 6, which is the type that's very concerned about needing to be sure, to be certain, to be safe. How does that resonate?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I definitely get randomly into all the things I need to do and read and achieve and finish and stuff, and then kind of go back and just like relax a lot, not do a whole lot. And then sometimes I'm, like you said, a little bit like a 6. So I can see that.
When you're stressed out, do you sleep well?
I pretty much always sleep well. I can stay up really late. I guess sometimes but I enjoy it. So I don't think there's ever like, oh no, I need to sleep and I can't sleep. I don't struggle with sleep for some reason.
So you just said another 9 indicator.
Okay.
9 sleep really well all the time. And let's say there is a lot of stress happening around you. Would you see that you kind of look forward to going to sleep because it's like a refuge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, maybe. 9s are amazing people because they connect with so many people around them. They connect with 1s and 2s, and they have some 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 7 inside of them. But the challenge of the 9 is they understand everybody else, but they're not sure about themselves. They're not sure who I am. Does that ever come cross your mind?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the strongest 9 statement I've heard so far.
Okay. Yes.
And it makes sense that we're dancing around the circle because that's part of being a 9, is that you do get along with so many people. So tell me about your life and being in spurts. How much was the downtime? How much was the uptime like earlier in your life? And what's it like now?
Prior, I had a lot more downtime, was a little more lazy. I'm almost a different person now than I was most of the rest of my life, especially in that respect of being way more on the go and wanting to do things and clean and read and, just a lot more of that. Yeah, like you said.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're talking about lots of types that you could be. After all of the things that we've discussed, what seems to resonate the most?
Yeah, I think a 9 resonates with me.
I'm feeling that too. And I would encourage you to do a little bit more study to make sure that's really it.
Okay.
Okay. How has this experience been for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. I liked it because I think if I had taken a test online, it would be kind of what I'm expressing out loud, which is like, oh, it could be this, it could be this. And that I always struggle with tests like that about myself. So I'd probably get a wrong answer because I would overthink the answer. So it was cool to have someone just like live, to figure it out. So yeah, I liked it.
Well, you're just a beautiful human being with so many talents and qualities. Allison, in our discussion, you had qualities of many types. You definitely mentioned 7. I noticed some 3. You mentioned some 1 and definitely some 6. These are all very strong indicators of being a 9, that you empathize with everyone, you understand everyone. However, for the 9, the most difficult question is, who am I? Does that resonate with you?
Yes, I agree.
The who am I question is basically the life project of the 9.
I'll work on it.
It'll take you your whole life, okay?
Yeah.
But and the other beautiful thing about you is that you go in spurts and you are mostly up. So 9s are the sleeping giant, and when you're awake, you're this. Think of the jolly green giant. Think of the nice giant. I don't know. Do you know who the jolly green giant is?
Yeah.
You do?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. From the can of vegetables?
Yeah.
Okay. He's like a fun guy, jolly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for you, being that giant means that you are a powerful, actualized person. Not many people can hop on a plane and go to the Middle East and negotiate peace, especially nowadays. But if you were going to pick somebody to do that, you would want to pick a 9 because that's their skill.
Nice.
It's an amazing skill. Thank you so much for being truthful and vulnerable and explaining to me about yourself. That was so wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure talking to you, Allison.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.